Alright guys, we're back here on this Thunderbird again. We got our air lines running the car, got our switch mounted in the dash now. Well, up under the dash. So we're going to start working on that air tank. We're going to take a board, and this is the way I done the 60. We're going to mount the tank right to a board and slide the board in the back and mount the board down. That way if we have any issue, we can just take a couple of screws out, tank, board and all. And then the air compressor will sit off to the side, is what I'm thinking. That's basically the way it's set up in the 60. So I'll show you the inside here going down. And then I'll show you the back of the trunk. So switch is mounted down there on the bottom of the dash. Just a basic bracket there, and then we'll go back here to the trunk and I'll show you inside the trunk. Alright. The trunk in this car is a pretty good sized trunk, and all these old cars, they were pretty good size. So it's not too hard when you start mounting stuff like this in there. We're going to get this thing mounted up on the board, and then we'll just slide it right inside this cavity right here, and then that compressor will sit probably on the passenger side. We've still got to run our power wires. We've got two power wires, one from the battery and then one that gets hot with a switch. The one that gets hot with the switch goes to the pressure switch in the tank. The one from the battery goes directly to the compressor and the relay. The relay clicks on when the pressure switch tells it to, and it clicks off and turns the compressor off when the pressure switch tells it to. It's pretty soundproof. It's the same way that they run semi-trucks. It's not too complicated. Now it's just the point of getting the tank mounted and stuff like that, and then we'll be ready to put it together. You bring that board? Where's that board at? Okay, we need to get a couple of sawhorses, and going up, we'll get a couple of sawhorses over here and we'll cut that board off. Go ahead and mark that. I cut it right at 19 inches is what I'm thinking. Alright. Move this down for a minute. I'm not going to cut it just yet. I'm just going to put a line on it. I want to go ahead and drill it. Nice to make those holes a little bit bigger. Give me a bigger bit. What we're going to do is take and knock these holes down a little bit so we can countersink these bolts right here. So that's what we're doing now. And then that way when you lay it down in the car, it'll lay flush. And that being countersunk a little bit into this bolt head, it'll help hold that. See, we'll go back after everything's said and done, and we'll wrap this board when we finish that trunk out. We'll unscrew the tank, we'll pull the board out from under it, and we'll wrap it like a black carpet or leather or vinyl, whatever he's using in the trunk. Alright, we're putting the fittings in now. We had to run over there and get a couple of plugs for this tank. This is the one for the air dryer right here. He's cutting that notch out of the back of the trunk so we can set the tank when I get this one plumbed in right here. These fittings, they gotta be tight, but you kind of got to watch. This is brass. You don't want to wring it off. Okay. We'll go ahead and set all this up now. And then that way when we put the tank in, it's done. Then it'll just be wiring in the compressor and stuff like that. Now this tank has a lot of holes in it for different things. The one in the 60 don't have nowhere near this much stuff in it. It's basically just set up for that kit and that kit alone. This you could do all kinds of things with this thing. As many holes as it's got. You could run a separate line for each bag if you wanted to out of this tank. All kinds of stuff. Pretty good tank. This same tank I have in mine, but mine's not set up for all this stuff. Mine's only set up for that system. But he's only got a 2-switch system, so we only need the 1 port right there. That's why we're plugging the rest of these off. And you'll never see these anyway because they'll face the back of the seat. This is basically monotonous, busy work. It's time-consuming stuff you have to do to get this stuff done, so. You'll spend more time doing this than you will be doing something important, it seems like. He's making a slight modification in the trunk, so all this will sit flat and we put it in. He's getting with it. Okay, we've got one down here. We got some fitting for that. We just we got some bracketry to mat the tank down so it don't move once it's in there. One thing too about this tank right here, every hole that it has seems to be a different daggum size. And yeah, I'm gonna put Teflon tape on this in a minute. I'm just testing it. The problem with having all these holes is it's just more room for leaks. And you don't want any leaks. I've been fighting leaks on that 60 for a long time still. Not a big fan of air ride. Not a big fan of it. I like the ideal of it. I don't like the install on it. The install kind of sucks, but you know, here we are, rocking it. But I mean, hey, there ain't no quicker way to look cool than to go in and sit the car on the ground and then be able to pick it up and go home and not get stuck on a speed bump. Alright, this is the water separator. We'll go ahead and put it on because I can't spin it on there with the pressure switch in, so I'm going to move this tank, turn it around to the end of the table right here. Move this stuff. I'm not a fan of how this goes on here either. It should have, I wish we had a fitting, it had a swivel fitting, because I don't like this, but it is what it is. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to have to spin that fitting in there. You get that cut out? Oh. What's wrong? No. Good. Let me get this on, then we'll be ready to set this on there. Alright, there it is. Okay, now I've just got to put in the pressure switch and the tank should be set up. Now if you're wondering about this pressure switch, one prong goes to your relay, the other prong goes to a wire that comes on with the ignition. So whatever you find in your fuse box lights up on your test light when you turn your ignition on, bingo, hook it into that. Just make sure it goes off because this controls the compressor. It tells it when to shut off. This particular switch is 170 to 200 psi. This tank will build on a gauge to 170 to 200 psi and then the compressor will cut off. I need to get a pair of channel locks on this. Okay, our tank's set up and ready to go in now when he gets the inside of the trunk set up. What I was thinking about mounting this tank was just some of these generic L brackets. Maybe just running one or two on each end and then just screwing it straight down the bottom of the trunk should hold it fine. This is a good looking tank. It's a pretty good setup that he's got. The bags work pretty good. The car has a good ride height as we've seen last time. And it goes a lot lower than I thought it was going to go. I can tell you that right now. I am very impressed at how low, especially the rear end with that airbag over leaf spring suspension works. I wouldn't mind doing my Cadillac like that, but I'm not going to mess with a Cadillac. It's done. Make no mistake, this stuff's aggravating. Alright, there's a bracket right here. You can see where we cut it out. It's holding the tank from sitting in there flush. I'm not sure. We may have to go on and take some more of this out, but I'm hoping not. If we do, we may notch the board and let it just sit over those rises, because we don't want to be doing any more cutting, or we want to do as little cutting as possible on this thing. So we'll try to set the tank back in there now, see if it goes flush. A lot better, but still, we could go right there. Alright, so now we got that tank situation straightened out, got it sitting in level. We've got the compressor kind of mocked up where we want it. We got to cut a board for that and relocate the taillight wires. Now that all that's done, we only have to hook up the air line to the tank. We've got to hook our relay up. So we've done pretty good today. We've got the tank set up, we got the board mounted, and we finally got it flushed in the trunk, and we picked out a spot for our compressor. We got the air lines up front hooked in. They're run through the car now, and the switch is mounted under the dash, and it's ready to go. So the only thing left now is a power wire from the battery, remote turn-on wire, ground, and hooking up the relay. And then we'll be ready to build pressure and check for leaks. That's about all we're going to do today is right here. And we'll just cut it right now. And then we'll come back tomorrow or the next day and actually start hardwiring this stuff in on the next video. But, you know, for about a half a day's worth of work, we knocked a dent in it. Pretty good dent anyway. This thing will be on the road before you know it now. It's just getting real close, down to like maybe 5 or 10%. So, until next time, don't buy it if you can build it, and we'll see you in a couple of days.